Welcome back to Block TV. This is Trader's Take, where we are joined by our very own technical analyst to dive into the charts. You know his name. He is the fortune teller, the fortune maker, and the man who never gambles without money that he could cover, Mr. Joe Saz. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Happy to be here, Yona.
All right, well, Joe, tell me, what is happening in the markets?
Well, this is a pretty important situation here, and what's happening is we've been consolidating for a little while, and it's so weird. If I was to look at this, I would say consolidating on the downside is probably dangerous, but either way, at least we're consolidating. Bitcoin is now finding psychological price pockets that people are willing to, buy and sell it, right? And so, I mean, as long as we're building these consolidation areas in the 5 figures, I'm pretty happy. It means that we have serious buyers and serious sellers, which is a strong competitive market. And that means that emotions are running high. Bears are feeling very confident. Bulls are feeling very confident. I think we might be washed out of a few bulls. A large percentage of bulls or a small percentage. Didn't do the math or anything to see how much money was bought in the $10,000 range, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. Is like we're actually consolidating. We do have money coming out of the bulls' pockets, preventing these nasty downside moves. And let's take a look at some of these nasty moves, because this really has been a very, very crazy number of days. We have massive wicks, massive pullbacks, massive wicks. I mean, I'm telling you, I think bulls are awake. I think they're, but bears are not in hibernation. So this is a really tough battleground. We pumped out of a low of we barely missed 7,000. I just want to see this, $7,006.01. That appears to be the low for the past couple days, and the low, we haven't broken 7K. So that's a double bottom, violent breakout on a 9 sell. This is a 5-minute chart, by the way, BTC USD on the 5. Violent breakdown. I mean, man, look at this RSI channel. Overbought, oversold. We flew up all the way to a high of 72.20, and spent a tiny bit of time, not even filling up half that wick space. So this is the kind of stuff, though, that makes me feel very confident that the market is still in a transition phase, and that it's possible that out of this transition we will come out bullish. It's also very possible that through this transition, and mind you, I've been talking about a transition for a while. Now, it's definitely not going to last forever. We've been noticing a dynamic shift in selling behavior and buying behavior. We've identified that this is now a shift that can lead to a bull or bear market. So there's definitely something that's going to take off soon. We're sitting at a very critical point here. $7,000 target area is basically knocking on the door of 6,000, obviously, right? But once we break down through 7,000, I have a feeling that bears are going to lose their minds. They're going to sell, bulls are going to pull their orders, and things are going to flash to the downside. So that's why we held $6 above $6.01 above 6,000, because bulls have to give it everything they have right now in order to keep any sort of bullish sentiment into the future alive. Mm-hmm. We do have a couple external narratives that are going to do that, like the halvening, and maybe maybe some sort of regulatory things, but and who knows, the unknown unknowns in this space. But either way, we're getting to a point. Let's take a quick look at the daily, where you can see we've been consolidating for a while, and volume is on a steep decline. And you can see we've had a number of pops before that happened, when we have volume on the decline, volume declining, and then we get a massive pop. But this was clear, like this was the breakdown from descending triangle is a pretty obvious play. This was not obvious, but we still had declining volume into a sell-off, and then a massive, like just unheard of pump, right? And then so now we're kind of doing the same thing. We had a big bottom sell, we had a big bottom buy, and then right now we've been just losing steam. Look at these moves. I mean, this reminds me of pre-April 2nd, 2019? Yeah, 2019.
2019.
Where we had, our moves were 2%, 3, like nothing. We're talking about very small moves here. So this, I recall a tweet from John Bollinger saying that that the Bollinger Bands are, tightening. There's a big move in one direction or another. I've taken a look myself on a couple different time scales, and Not 100% sure which time scale he was using, what monthly, weekly, daily. I don't know what, maybe he's 6 hour, 12 hour. But I can tell you that at a quick glance, we definitely have a tightening of the bands, and I really think it doesn't matter which way you look at this. This is going to break out or break down very soon. And right now, I'm personally long. I am betting that the market's going to break out. My 8,200 price target is still on the table. Haven't taken it off. And I'm actually looking at this daily and feeling very confident that my breakout might be the more likely of the two scenarios. We're probably going to hit a 9 buy in 2 days. If this 7 can close like this, that would be fantastic. If we can get a sideways 8, it would be scary for my longs. Obviously I want to be in the money right away, right when I enter a trade. But I'm willing to sacrifice 2 days to get to my 9 buy, and hopefully this thing shoots up and really sets us up for a bull run. I mean, it's I think we're looking at a wild ride to the upside is what I'm betting on, to 8,200 at the very least.
So Joe, you're saying that we're knocking on hell's door at 7,000. Now, what's that number? You're saying that bulls are holding that 7,000 line strong. What is the number for the other end? What is the number where it goes up that breaks the bears? And where is that though when the bulls really take control and the sky's the limits?
Yeah. Oh well, the sky's the limit is a different question. But when the bulls take control, at least for the short-term move to 8,200, I'm betting that that's going to be around 76 to 7,800. We've had a couple wicks up that high. Maybe if I drop this to an hourly or something, we can see them easily. We had something like this. No, 72. All right, it might take me too long to find this, but this area, these wicks where we were reaching up 76.40, 77.60. If we can get a close and consolidation in this wick space, that's going to be very bullish to me, and I'm going to be really excited about in my $8,200 call. I think that's going to be the next direction. But we do have Socrates MSR warning us. I need to figure out, man. Like this indicator is fantastic. I need to stop trading against it.
What do you say? What do you say about the criticism that people out there have that bulls aren't putting enough capital into the market, enough volume into the market? Instead, they're buying four monitors at least. I see there's 4 monitors behind you. There has to be one in front of you. How many monitors do you got there?
Not enough, I'll tell you that, and wouldn't mind a few more. Yeah, bulls, Christmas season, Thanksgiving, holidays, New Year, all that. Are bulls that exhausted? I don't think so. I think that hodlers are their last resort are, more worried about Bitcoin than they are about, someone's $20 Amazon gift card. But I think this is the thing, on the Coinbase Pro order book, I've been seeing it happen all the time. I think bulls have the money. I don't think they're flexing it, but I think they have it. And basically, the reason I say they're not flexing it is because we're not already at 8,200. But when sellers start overreacting and panicking to certain market conditions, like the bottom $300 of a $1,000 aggregation is pretty bearish to me, right? So 7,300 and lower would be pretty bearish in the bearish area of 7K. Now, we've had a number of instances where it seems like the price is going to just fall through the floor. We're going down, we're crashing. And then next thing you know, it's like the order book on the buy side is stacked with triple-digit buy walls, double-digit buy walls, 60, 70 packs of Bitcoin. And I'm just talking on one exchange. Obviously, you have to, multiply that by the, global exchange kind of thing. And I don't really have a specific formula or anything for that. I think Bookmap allows that. But you can see something where you all of a sudden you see a flood of support jump in, right? And then bears can't take it down any further. Next thing you know, you have sweeps back to the upside, or even not even low liquidity sweeps back to the upside. I'm talking triple digit sell walls, and because they're so convinced that price is going down, and then bulls just come in and eat them alive. I mean, this is just this market. It has been very crazy, and this is actually very reminiscent to the type of selling activity that we had as we were breaking down in the 10K range and lower. In 11K, all that, where we had very low liquidity moves to the upside, very low volume, and then we'd have a big, huge coordinated sell-off, a gigantic red candle and a massive volume candle associated with it. Now we have, a little bit of both, but we have massive wicks to the upside. There's definitely buyers here, and there's a ton of volume in these situations. So the bulls are here. I just think that this is silent money, and my theory is that, especially on an exchange like Coinbase Pro, where if you trade, I think over 10 million a month or something, then you get free maker orders, which is to say you get no fees when you put an order in the order book. I'm willing to buy Bitcoin at $7,006.01. That's a maker, market maker. And so after a certain $1 million amount, don't know what it is, but you get reduced fees all the way down to zero as a maker. So what I believe is happening is smart money is stacking, stacking, and stacking. They're just letting these bears eat their orders. They're taking zero. They're probably going to end up with no fees on this Bitcoin that they're accumulating. And I think the next move could be a sweep to the upside. But I do have I do have my sprinting shoes on. You know, I'm ready for a move to the downside. I'm ready to you know, go short. I'm ready to market buy if I need to, especially if it looks like a violent breakdown. But right now the bulls have been stepping up. I've been going to sleep. I've been, you know, I've been okay.
Right.
Seeing this market.
Well, I mean, you got your shoes on. You're ready to run forwards. But let's take a look backwards for a second. Today is the 1-year anniversary of Bitcoin's bottom at 3,100. Do you see? Can we take a look at that 1 year ago and kind of see how the market reacted, and then, you know, do you think that the market will follow the same path and go up and up from there?
Let's see here. There's a lot of notes here, but the lowest point was, December, mid-December here. I mean, let's see what the weekly looks like. Let me get, oh, whoops. Let me get some notes out of the way. This is a pretty ugly weekly candle. I really want to be more optimistic than this. Wow, that's an ugly. This is what would be known as a bearish engulfing candle. I love my candlestick patterns. Spinning top, which is a very neutral candle, into a very bearish candle. But I will say we do have a higher low. Close long on the 5-minute. All right, we do have a higher low. So I mean, our trend. This, I mean, all of this to me was very, very weird. Very not very market-like, I would say. So it's really hard to say. You know, I don't know if this will be a repeat. I don't know if December, you know, is the low. I mean, if that is the case, we've already had a low. We had a big spike. I don't see the similarity. I'm willing to entertain the fact that, you know, we've had a couple bad Q4s, and Q1 has a tendency to be pretty negative as well. Maybe not the worst, but, you know, I like January is usually a bad month in Bitcoin. Or I remember at one point thinking that when I went back through it. I mean, one of the things that I'm looking at here is a clear trend line here on the RSI. We double topped, and there's a trend line here on the RSI. Kind of maybe you can consider it broken. It just depends on how you draw it, but this is actually looking a little scary to me, Yona. I gotta say, I don't want Bitcoin to go down from here. I want it to go up, but it looks like we. I mean, just imagine we could have a full retrace. I'm not seeing any similarities though.
All right. Well, let's hope that for everyone's sake that it does go up. Now, switching over the weekend, Vitalik Buterin, the head of Ethereum, as much as a decentralized organization can have the head, the Ethereum Foundation, he recently announced in a podcast, or said in a podcast with Eric Weinstein, that at Ethereum all-time high, the foundation actually sold about 70,000 ETH, which would have been about around $100 million. Have you seen, and many were saying that it was a good move to sell then, because the price dropped way down since then, as we know. What is Ethereum doing right now?
Well, there's a lot there. Right now we're at 142. We're 2 days out from a 9 buy, similar to Bitcoin, maybe moving us slightly differently. Now, this is I've heard a little bit about that. So let me start with the technical. We fought this 50 MA and lost, and things have been looking ugly. I would say if I was an ETH head, I'd be betting on this 9 buy. I would really be hoping, but we have a pretty clear descending trend here. A couple points of contact, and maybe I can extend this a bit further. But yeah, this is actually in my eyes, and I kind of look at the world in triangles, the technical world in triangles. We're kind of creating a little bit of a descending formation here, lower low, lower low. So, you know, kind of some support at double bottom, support at double bottom. We haven't really gone into this wick space. So I would say there might be a trade in this 9, even though this is kind of a descending triangle. Now, Vitalik Buterin did sell a ton of ETH. People that's I'm just saying it out loud when you were talking about it. I'm just thinking, man, how can people be saying that this is a good thing? It's definitely and price went down. Well, guess what? When someone sells a scarce asset and there are buyers, price goes down. And it could take one catalyst to lead an entire market to shift into a very bearish mentality. So, like Charlie Lee selling the top, yeah, maybe none of this matters, right? Maybe it doesn't matter. But either way, I think that it's kind of funny to see how delusional some of these communities are, especially, ETH and Litecoin, seeing that Litecoin is down 70% plus hash maybe. And also ETH being a failure, a complete failure, and ETH 2.0 is allegedly being the savior of Ethereum. And I saw someone's observation of this whole thing, and I thought it was very valid. Basically saying that Vitalik probably sold enough to make it last, to make Ethereum last, because of course they have tons and tons of blockchain projects on their blockchain. And so I guess the goal was to make Ethereum last as long as they possibly could. And at this rate, again, this is just kind of a feels thing going on Twitter, but at this rate, I would say that, and it feels a little bit accurate that he might be able to last another few years. I think that's the case. From the beginning, I've been saying that I don't think ETH is going to be the first top 10 to die. I think it's going to be Litecoin. And I think ETH, the reason why that ETH won't die is because you have way too many ERC20 tokens. You have a lot more hope for something like ETH to succeed than you have for something like Litecoin to succeed. Because you have maybe hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of more people heavily invested in ERC20 tokens. So I don't like what's happening.
I know your feelings on all these communities. Tell us, what is the chart looking for XRP, which is, I think, your favorite community? It has to be XRP. How's the XRP charts looking?
Yeah, they're my favorite community to mess with. But I've changed. This is this is not really good. We have a double top here. We might find some support, but we're already in the wick space of a dangerous candle. This candle brought us to a new lower low in the even lower 20-cent range, like 20 point nothing cents. So I really think that it's a little hard to say. I wish that we would have bounced off this by now. It seems like we have about three wicks hitting these bodies here. So I could get a little bit optimistic and say that, yeah, this is support and these lines aren't perfect. But this is a tough call. This is going to be a tough call. I might even see like a little bit of a pennant forming here, and this will draw on for quite some time. If that's the case, we'll have like a situation where this bounces in between those things, lower highs, higher lows, until we break out about the distance of this run. So from the apex. So I mean, basically, XRP has either a very bright future, which will bring it back to some halfway decent levels, or a very dark future, which would bring it down into potentially the 13-cent range. I mean, that would be nasty. So I think personally, I think the downside is more likely. Obviously, because I think the only people there, this is an even smaller community. We have I say that XRP has a $6 billion market cap as opposed to what they report as a $12 billion market cap, because the founders' rewards are included in the circulating supply of that 45 or 6 mil of XRP or bill, I should say, in circulation. So I would say that XRP is more likely a $6 billion market cap cryptocurrency. And I would argue that this community is probably more likely to fail, especially if we have nothing but really traders in the space and hodlers, and maybe some accumulators. But $6 billion worth of accumulators, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of people, are not enough to stop even 1 month's worth of Ripple's escrow from shutting down this market, just nuking it, right, and sending this thing down to those terribly bearish ranges, right, 13 cents or lower. So I could see this thing playing out for a little bit longer, but right now we're sitting 3 days away from a 9 buy. From the looks of things, if we're supported here, it's going to be invalidated. The sequential 9 buy will be invalidated, and we'll probably lose whatever bots are programmed to purchase XRP in a 9 buy. So that would be, I'm not too optimistic about this. I think this thing's going to break down and spend a little bit more time in the wick space of the candle that just set our new low. I'm ready for this thing to hopefully, just fall off a cliff.
All right, 9 buy or 9 die. We will see what happens with XRP as well as with the rest of the market. And as always, make sure to check back for our very own Joe Saz. Joe, thanks for joining us. And for all our viewers at home, if you want more on blockchain and cryptocurrency, make sure to check us out at blocktv.com.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.